the smaller factories couldn't cope, but there was Bega and Pambula and Kamarooka and Candler, so it was all eventually taken up into, you know, the one factory here at Bega. They become members of the Bega co-op and it's thrived ever since. Bega was initially a butter factory for a start.
The original butter factory opened in 1900.
History's here from day dot, and that's a butter churn. You've got a small butter churn. These are all for the people, most of these are for people that have a house cow and just make their own homemade butter. And the Airedale factory was a very famous factory here in Bega years ago, and it was sold up a few years back, and we were lucky enough to get some of the equipment from there. That's the Airedale milk cooler where water runs around one inside of that, and the milk runs down over the top into a can here to cool your milk from the dairy. My family started the first fresh milk run straight from dairy to the people in the town after the First World War. That dipper there is what it called a quart pot that my father sold the milk to the people in town, and there's a lot of stories went with that quart pot. He had a quart pot, then a half gallon, depends on the people that put their billy out. That's there, this is a butter churn, it's a bigger butter churn, a more commercial butter churn. That's a butter maker, that's for cutting the butter to wrap in the old Bega butter. You wound the handle there and push it through here, and this wire cut the pounds of butter, and that was the size of a pound of butter. And that was ready to wrap. And you see it pushed it through the wire there, and the wire done all the cutting. And then there was people on either side grabbing them and hand wrapping them. Bega butter, yeah. There was a lot more labour intensive then to what it is now. That was the first of the milking machines to machine milk a cow. And instead of having a claw like that to milk the 4 teats at a time, they had 4 separate ones, and they used to, that has the pulsation there of the sucking action, but you used to have to do that by hand. It was a crazy setup, but it was a very primitive, but it did work. This new modern milking machine, that pipe runs the milk away to the vats in the vat room to be separated and whatever. But in the early days, this is what they used, and they used to have to lift that out of there and carry that and tip it in their vat when they milk their cows. That's a centrifuge that you use for spinning to test the butter fat in the milk. All the milk was tested for butter fat because different breeds of cows, like the Jerseys, had the richest milk, and the placard they made for getting the milk and butter for the war effort, and there's some good reading in some of those. But that's to get the buttermilk out of the butter. So they used to put it in that, and it'd go round and round there, and the butter would go between those 2 rollers there and squeeze it, and the butter fat would run out here into a container and get used for feeding pigs and calves and that. But it's a 7-day-a-week, 365 days a year job, and you've got to be committed to it.
Every year, Bega Cheese produces approximately 230,000 tonnes of dairy products. They export over 60 million units of cheese to over 40 countries.
There's been a lot of old families that were in the district years ago that are still here farming, which is a wonderful thing. It's still like a big family in a way in the dairying in the valley. It's been good to the district and good to us, and I'm pretty proud of Bega's progress over the years. The farmers have done pretty well.
Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free. Just be